Okay, I'm going to do this video a little bit more uncut, I think, than obviously the average armchair urbanist. So this is just me kind of chilling with the mic here, but we're going to kind of click through the pictures of my day trip to Florida and the ridiculous sort of schedule that I had to keep where I was awake for like 25 hours when I did my Brightline review. So anyway, of course, we start in the Philadelphia airport at like 4 a.m., boarding a Frontier flight. I'm tall, so I have to buy like the extra little room seat, whatever. My Frontier flight gets into Orlando around, I think it was 7 o'clock, and the Brightline train was leaving at 7:30. So there was not much time between me arriving in the airport and me getting to the train. How smart of a decision this was, debatable. But I looked at all the airplane schedules online. I looked at their on-time records, and I was like, this will work. I hate staying in airports. Let's do this. So it's pretty obvious nowadays that they've spent some time connecting Brightline and Terminal C to the rest of the airport. Obviously, some of the signs have changed. It says train station in some places and has the Brightline logo in other places. The Orlando airport's weird, has these people movers. I think they're a lot of fun. Definitely different. Brightline station itself reminds me of a lot of like a casino or something I'd see at like in a mall where it's like very flashy, like obviously over the top. I think that's fine. I think that attracts definitely certain people that wouldn't travel on trains otherwise. This is stupid as fuck though. There's security theater. So they have like little security gates that you scan your ticket and walk in, which is fine. A lot of European train lines do this, but they have a bag scanner. You have to put your bag through an X-ray, which sure, I guess. If you're gonna base a train service in Florida, fine. But like, this is stupid. Like, I almost missed the train because of this, because I walked up. I only had about 10-ish minutes to get to the train by the time I walked into the Brightline terminal. So when I got to this gate, fine, scanned my ticket. That worked fine. Got one of these cute pins that they were giving out. And then I had to put my bag through the scanner, but they only had one scanner working. And of course there was a backup. So like, if they didn't have this scanner, I could just run to the train and I could have gotten more footage of the station itself. But honestly, it's okay. It's nothing too, like, it didn't impress me. It's not what impresses me. See, what impresses me is like old Irish bar with stained glass lights. So this is not my aesthetic. But I appreciate it. I appreciate some of the lobby and stuff like this. The rest of the station, cool. They had this bar called Mary Mary, which is very funny, which is named after the Florida East Coast exec's wife's, because apparently his first wife died, and then he married a second wife, and the second wife was also named Mary. I didn't know this, but I was told by a friend when I got to Miami. Anyway, down to the platform. Immediately saw that my train was wrapped, and not only was it wrapped, the windows were wrapped, and I was like devastated. I was like, oh fuck, because immediately I knew that it was going to be harder to get footage out the window. And like, I hate this. I hate when buses are wrapped, the windows are wrapped. Like, it's an insult to the people riding on the train or bus or whatever. Come on, fuck this shit. I don't like it. Stop doing it. Stop, transit agencies, stop doing this shit. Yeah, and you can see, like, here's a clip of me finally getting and riding on the train. Train was a good experience. I sat at the 4-seater, which is like the table, and so I could do a little work. And there was a couple sitting across from me at the table, and they were very nice. They actually bought me a coffee, which was really cool. They were actually not going on the train to go on the train to check it out. They were legitimately going from Orlando to Miami to go on a cruise ship. So that's what I thought was really interesting, is there was actually a good amount of people on the second train going to Miami that were just there for vacation or something not relevant to the opening day ceremony, which I was like, damn, this thing is going to be successful. Frustratingly on my part, this footage here you're seeing is from my phone, but some of the shaky footage you're seeing is from my nice camera. I have a Fujifilm X-T5, spent way too much money on it. Frustratingly, I didn't realize when I was on this trip that I flipped the OIS, or optical image stabilization, on my lens. I flipped the switch off. So all of the footage that I got was extra shaky because it just didn't have the normal stabilization. I was so devastated once I realized that. So I didn't get as much footage as I wanted, and then I also didn't get footage that didn't look as good because of that, and so frustrating. So yeah, I apologize for the footage being a little bit shakier than normal when I was using the camera, because you can see it looks good, it's just shaky, which is frustrating. Anyway, the train ride was generally good. I like the Siemens Ventures for most of their features. I like their bathrooms. They have probably the best bathrooms in North America on rail rolling stock, or at least the ones I've seen so far. The cars themselves are very beautiful, very modern looking, obviously. The windows aren't as large as people were making them out to be. I guess maybe compared to like an Amfleet 1 they are, but like compared to some other rolling stock, no, they're not that big. What I didn't like is that if you are a taller person or a person with wider shoulders, you will not like these seats. These seats are a straight up downgrade from any of the Amtrak Amfleets or Superliners. The Amfleets and Superliners have almost like a recliner-esque or lazy boy-esque feel to them, where these are like hard, like European seats with the wings that go next to your head. Do not like them. As a tall person, my shoulders like butt up into the seat wings, and my back physically hurt by the end of this ride. Otherwise, the train ride was nice. The cars rode nice. It's just the seats. Oh my God. I hope these don't go in the new Amtrak Arrows. The train ride itself was good. The two things that I noticed was, once we had an emergency stop, or what felt like an emergency stop, but I think it was just to let another train go by. And then there was later, once you get to the FEC corridor and once you get further down to like West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, is just insane amount of grade crossings. Like I think there's like something like 300 grade crossings. That's wild, especially for me coming from somewhere in the Northeast where a lot of our systems up here are legacy. And a lot of the legacy systems like avoided grade crossings because back in the 1800s, you had to pay a dude to stay at the crossing. So it was just cheaper to grade separate it, because I'm not going to pay a dude. I'm going to grade separate it. The bridge will do the work. Anyway, the rest of the ride went really well. Finally got to the station in Miami. Got to check out some of the amenities there. The building itself is very impressive, and it drops you right in downtown Miami. So I was very happy with that. It's always weird coming from the Northeast or somewhere else other than the Sun Belt, because everything in the Sun Belt is very like new and hasn't experienced entropy yet. Where everything in the Northeast, or a lot of the Midwest, Rust Belt areas of the country, very well worn, very like entropy ridden. It's very obvious that the things aren't new and the things aren't like upkept as much as the Sun Belt areas, but this obviously very different kind of mindsets in both. Of course, when I was in Miami, I had to ride both the Metro Mover and the Miami Metro. I don't think the Miami Metro gets talked enough about. It's one of the Great Society metros, or technically it was kind of on the tail end of that. But there's a lot of things that are missing from it. Like here's Government Center, here's the cross track that was going to be another line intersecting at Government Center that was never built. Hopefully eventually it might be. But otherwise, I was very impressed with the Miami Metro in general. I just think that like it's very obvious that it was built for higher ridership than it's currently encountering. I'm hoping that all the development along the line will eventually drive it to have really high ridership. That was the one thing that really impressed me about Miami, was just the amount of development happening. It seems like a lot of Sunbelt cities are not afraid of development like Austin. Miami specifically was just super impressive. I've never seen that many amount of like luxury skyscrapers or condominiums that are specifically just for condos or housing or apartments. I thought the Metro Mover was very quirky, very goofy, but then I sort of realized what its true reason for existing was. So yeah, like people mover systems are kind of not the smartest thing to build in the world when it comes to building transit in your city for like the bang for your buck. But then I sort of dawned to me. I was like, FDOT, or Florida Department of Transportation, does not like transit. And if you were to build a BRT system, you would have to like argue with FDOT over and over and over again about like using the right of way of your road for the BRT instead of buildings like something else. So if you were to take that bus, that BRT line, and you were to elevate it and then automate it and make it so it doesn't have anything to do with the road below it, so you didn't have to deal with FDOT that much, that's kind of appealing. And I see why like the city might want to invest more in the Metro Mover system over a BRT and like other bus systems, because it's like you don't have to deal with FDOT, and like not dealing with FDOT removes some of the biggest issues with projects in Florida in general. After being shown around a good amount of Miami by my friend Jonathan, I had a good picture of what Miami was like in just the day trip afternoon there. I definitely need to go back at some point. The day trip was definitely not long enough. Obviously, I need to hit up a bar at some point there too, because that's like the culture. But yeah, I mean, I got the metro back to the airport. The metro station at the airport, very beautiful, but from the metro station, you need to take a people mover to the airport. And then from the people mover, you need to walk through a set of hallways with moving walkways. And then finally, you're at the terminal. My plane was a bit delayed, so by the time that I got back to Philly, it was about 2 or 3 a.m. And I really didn't have any choice to get back to my apartment except for taking 2 buses. Because I tried calling a Lyft or Uber at the time, didn't work, and I was like, well, screw it, we'll take the 37 bus, end up in South Philly, and then see what happens from there. So 37 bus to South Philly, and then magically, I made like a 20-second transfer to a 17 and got back to my apartment after walking a bit from the 17. SEPTA, please run the airport connection all night, please, for the love of God. Yeah, anyway, that's sort of my feelings about Brightline and everything. I don't know. If you guys have any questions or want anything from me more to talk about, maybe I'll do more of these types of videos on the membership/Patreon style thing. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully you enjoyed a more like casual, uncensored, not me trying to be like faster or anything. But yeah, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. See ya.